My name is Andrew Betwain. I am the Managing Editor at Clear Path Analysis. Today I'm joined by Alex Struc, Chief Executive Officer of Goalsfirst. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. Great to see you.
Lovely to have you. Well, Alex will be speaking at our ESG Investment Leader Conference in November in London. He'll be speaking on managing resources in an overcommitted world, emerging regulation, attractive assets, and coping with the shifting E, S, and G priorities. So a really big, broad topic there with lots to get into. So, Alex, I'm going to dive straight into some questions for you. My first question is, to what extent is the lack of data or insufficient data a pain point for you in the industry?
Well, I think it's a well-reported pain point in the industry, but I think for us at Goalsfirst, we see it as an opportunity. Because quite frankly, if you looking what we're trying to ascertain is the difference between the financial accounting, and this is what publicly reporting, and to get a sense of management accounting. And this is something that management of the companies look at in a forward-looking fashion. Obviously, those are not for disclosure, but based on what's reported, we as investors are trying to estimate the strategy, trying to estimate what the companies are looking to do, both in delivering their financial targets and broader societal targets. So imperfection of data, as annoying as it may be, it actually provides alpha opportunities for those with the research capabilities and looking for quality of insight.
Interesting, really interesting insights there. So my next question is, how do you bring together the data and the information that is provided by the issuers with those reporting requirements set for asset managers and owners? So what are the main difficulties around that topic, and what are the opportunities actually you're seeing there as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because any intellectual work is a very, very painstaking work, and the work requiring analysis of a lot of data, sometimes incoherent data. I think maybe top level, what's been extremely helpful is TCFD framework, because TCFD framework, the way it's laid out, is actually, it feels like it's taken out of Peter Drucker's book on organizational management. So I understand that it's been designed for climate, but we internally use it for organizational infrastructure altogether, trying to understand the strategy, the risk management. And if you look at your entire business organization through the prism of the CFD, not just climate, not just scenario analysis, but to the broader outputs, it helps a great deal to organize one's mind and start putting that data together to be able to come up with some sort of meaningful conclusions and projections.
That's a really interesting point there. So my third question is going to switch the focus slightly. How does domicile influence E, S, or G focus and the operational load? And what are some of the biggest market differences that you're seeing, especially between developed and emerging markets and different regions? So obviously we have the politicization of ESG much more strongly in say, America, but there's obviously different reporting schedules and jurisdictions all around the world. So what are you seeing?
So we're probably not the best equipped to talk about the emerging markets, because we're primarily focusing on liquid assets and developed markets. But one thing I would say is we don't buy into this rhetoric that ESG is a different thing to different people. We think ESG is actually follows the same formula with different calibrations. Something that you spoke about, politicization, we look at ESG through the prism of strictly through the prism of public-private partnerships in delivering an outcome. And once you look at this through this lens, what's happening today is actually not new. You can trace it back 200 to 300 years. It's just different calibrations. Europe has developed in the sense where public policy is a lot more prominent, and it shapes the nature of private capital. United States, public policy plays a different role, leaving a wider gap for entrepreneurial spirit, venture capital, and therefore private capital takes plays a much bigger role in delivering public outcomes, including education, infrastructure, healthcare. So for us, it's the same formula, Europe, US, and globally different calibration. And it comes down to the nature of public-private partnership. Who takes the bigger role, who takes the smaller role, and exactly what the nature of those roles are. It affects investment process, it affects capital formation of a capital structure, and most importantly, it affects product design and the subsequent regulation that governs it.
Lots there, and I love that point you're making about ESG being the same everywhere, just under different circumstances. So my last question before I let you go is, what comes next after reporting. So beyond eliminating greenwashing and accurately accounting for changing labels and regimes, what is the bigger picture of what you're trying to achieve with ESG, whether it be risk mitigation, stewardship, longevity?
Well, I can try and answer this from the prism of Goalsfirst, because we think it's first and foremost, we acknowledged both business and social opportunity as linking financial decisions with social architecture. And its ability of people to equitably participate in every time they're parting with the money, how does it affect not only their prospect of getting returns, but also effects on the broader society. And the key implication that it has for product design and for investment process is as follows. In exchange for your money, you shouldn't be getting just risk-adjusted returns. You should be getting all three properties of capital embedded in finance, and that is clarity on sources and uses of risk, return, and impact associated with your portfolio, risk-adjusted performance, and the last one, probably the most exciting for us, is agency, your ability to influence an outcome in an independent manner. So for us, stewardship is the most asymmetric, and strategic engagement is the most asymmetric financial and socioeconomic trend that is currently happening. Something that you have seen with BlackRock and voting choice, giving individual investors ability to vote, something that asset owners in the UK are very, very well aware of. But we see this trend happening everywhere, and that is a manifestation of personal agency and ability to make an influence and achieve superior returns with your money.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, if that has whetted your appetite for what Alex will be speaking about at the ESG conference, please do follow the links below and register to attend the ESG Investment Leader Conference in November in London. We'd love to have you there. And my thanks to Alex for those wonderful and insightful answers, and I hope to hear more from you on the day. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much, Alex.
And to you, Andrew. Thanks.